Hey everyone, it is Vickie Magic here with Wake Up to What Matters podcast. And today I have with me the lovely Pauline Ryeland. Welcome, Pauline.
Thank you, Vickie. Lovely to be here.
My pleasure to have you. Pauline, what I'd like to do to begin with is just to ask you to give our listeners an overview of who you are and what you do.
Sure thing. So my name is Pauline Ryeland and I am the Intimacy Whisperer. So I work as an intimacy, sex, libido and relationship coach and educator. I work with a combination of modalities, tantra facilitator, sexological body worker, NLP practitioner and access consciousness facilitator, and I utilise all those skills. So I work with individuals or couples around any challenges that they might be having in any intimate sort of areas, and specialise with men's sexual health challenges and women's sexual health challenges as well.
Fantastic. So as I've expressed to you prior to us popping on today, one of the things that I really focus on during our podcast is the mindset. And so clearly that's why I wanted to get you on board, because I feel that people that do have challenges in the bedroom, a lot of it, not always, but sometimes can be because of our mindset. So I'd really love to invite you to share with us how you help them through mindset with these challenges.
Yeah, sure. So there's a couple of areas that I really focus on, and one would be the emotional aspects, because if there's a problem, you know, we want to get to the core issues, underlying core issues. And so I always look at what emotional things are attached to that. So, you know, they could be feeling guilty because they don't want to, they've got no libido and they're not being intimate with their partner, so they've got guilt, or they could be feeling really angry about something, or they could be hurt. And sometimes these things can be not necessarily related to the current time, but from previous times before, or relationships, or things can go back to their childhood, you know, because that's when we form our beliefs in the early years. So I always look at the emotional aspect, and I also really look at the belief system, what's driving them, you know, it's lack of self-worth, what they think about themselves, how they view themselves, the different things that might come in, that they're useless in the bedroom or whatever it is. So that's a belief that's not really serving them to their highest good. So I unpack that belief change and flip it to create something more empowering and and give them more confidence. And I love working with that because it works so well and so quickly.
Yeah. And so if somebody that is listening out there, you know, wasn't kind of game enough to come to you just yet, what would be a tip that you would give them right here, right now, that they could actually do themselves?
Around mindset, I think it's just it's about being aware that you've gone into a negative space or being in a reactive space. So I think that's the first thing, is recognizing when you're moving into that space. And sometimes we move and we're in it before we actually really realize, and then we've got to like scramble our way out of it. But even that's okay if you're wanting to sort of look for those things and turn things around into a positive way. So I always give a little example of if you've got a line in the sand and you've got above the line and below the line. And so below the line thinking is when you're at effect. So it's things like when you're in victim mode, or you're being judgmental, or you feel hopeless, or you're in that reactive space. Procrastination, fear, all those sorts of things sit below the surface. So if you're in or feeling any of those negative feelings, then it's like, okay, what do I need to do to bring myself out of this funk and get myself above the line where you're more at cause? So that's where you're more in action mode and you're in acceptance and you're taking responsibility and you're getting more clarity. So it's like, what can I do to move out of that? So that's the first thing that I ask them to look at, is to recognize where they're at and then take the steps to move out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And yes, absolutely. And if somebody was listening to this and they're like, yeah, I really like that, can you give us a little bit of guidance and a little bit of help as to what they can do to move out of that?
Yeah, sure. So I've got a couple of different things that I work with. So I always just go, you know, I'll give them one thing and then I'll give them another thing. I'll go, look, now you've got options. So depending on what's going on for you. So let's say you're having anxiety, you're feeling really anxious about something or really stressful. Well, the first thing I say is breathe, because we're not usually breathing. We don't, as a rule, breathe properly. And so when you're in anxious mode or stress, the autonomic nervous system's got two parts. We've got the sympathetic and the parasympathetic part of the system. So the sympathetic part of the system is like in override. So we want to activate the parasympathetic. So all we have to do is take a long, big, deep breath. And that just starts to activate the parasympathetic part of the system. So if anyone's ever done yoga or done meditation, that really nice all over feeling that you get from that, that's because the parasympathetic part of the system's been activated. So it's pretty easy to do, and just put your hand on your belly, a couple of fingers below the belly button, close your eyes and just take a couple of big deep breaths. That's one of the first steps I would get my clients to do, and I would do that myself if I was feeling it as well.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of like, I guess it's individually depending on what's going on for people. I've got a great thing that I do where I pivot. And so, and I use this one myself a lot. So I sort of look at what energy would I like to evoke, like all the time. Like, do I want to evoke joy or happiness or peace or calm or whatever that word that resonates for you when you go, oh yeah, I'd like to feel like that all the time. I get my clients to sort of close their eyes and remember a time when they felt that particular energy, and get them to just breathe into that space and into that energy, and just to like fill their body up with it, and feel it sort of like, let's say it's joy, feel that joy emanating from their body, and then add it, like put a color to it and put a sound to it, so that really just can feel that joy all around them. And then to then take a couple of nice big deep breaths in, so that they're retaining that on the cellular memory of their body, what that feeling of joy is like. So when something not so great's going on, you can tap into that a lot easier. So you make the choice to go, I don't want to be feeling like this. I don't want to be feeling angry, or I don't want to feel annoyed with X, Y, Z. What do I need to do to pivot, to flip out of that? I know I need to bring joy back in. So you can close your eyes for a moment and just tap back into that space of joy. And it really works. I love it. It's one of my favorite tools, actually.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And something else that I find a lot of people certainly ask me, and so it's a question that I'd like to put to you as well, is a lot of us kind of, our own worst enemy, if you like, is ourselves. And so sometimes sabotage our own joy, our own success, our own peace, all of it. And so what do you do personally when you find, and do you also sometimes sabotage yourself?
Oh, no, I don't. I'm perfect. Of course I do.
And so when you do, what's your kind of way out?
When I recognize that I've fallen into that space, for me, what works is my mantras, my mantra statements of I am. And they're usually an empowering statement. So I've got, like, on my mirrors in my bathroom, on my mirrors in my bedroom, I've got that fabulous chalk pen or whatever it is, and you can write on it and you can wash it off really easily. And I've got mantras and statements written everywhere as my reminders. And I'll go through cycles where I'll just religiously do them every morning, and then I don't do them. And then when something goes on that I recognise something's happening within me, then I'll start going, I am. And whatever those statements are, I've got quite a few of them. So, and then I find that, it sort of just lets that go, and I can breathe, because I am feeling good, I am feeling powerful, and I am unstoppable, and it just does a flick on the brain and puts you into that space.
Yeah, awesome. And what's your, if you have one, I certainly do, what's your all-time favorite quote?
Oh, I'm not very good with quotes. Actually, I pulled a quote up yesterday. I don't really retain any famous quotes, to be honest. I think...
Well, maybe you have a Pauline one then.
Yeah, that's what I was going to. I think, it's that old saying is that, we have all the answers within. It's just that we've got to remind ourselves to tap back in and to really trust our intuition in every aspect of our life and living. So if you want to go to a workshop, you know, feel into that. Does that feel right for you? You know, you want to go to this facilitator for whatever. Is that the right facilitator for you? And to follow your intuition and your own knowing of if that's the right person to choose, or go, you know what, I don't think that's the right person, and keep putting it out there. Who's the person for me to see? And that the person will come, and then you just know. So I think that's really important to trust yourself on that.
Yeah, because a lot of us find that we question ourselves, don't we? You know, we don't trust that we have the answers. We don't trust, and so therefore we then ask other people, what should I do? What should I think? What should I say? And you're right. The reality is that what they think and what they would say and how they would act is not necessarily right for us.
No, it's relevant. And I really see that with some of my clients. In fact, a client that I've just completed sessions with, you know, he's got a really big thing going on, and everyone's going, no, you need to wait. But he knows within himself that he should do this, because it's just that one other level of him not being in alignment with him. And that's what he came to me for, to become really aligned with himself and to own who he was with all his idiosyncrasies and quirks. And he's now at that point where he can own it. And it's like, well, if I'm not being in my truth about that, then I'm not honouring that in me. And so he has to sort of like disregard and follow his own intuition. But everyone's sort of saying, you know, don't do that.
Yeah, I love that. And if somebody out there is listening and thinking, yeah, that's me, I can, you know, keep on questioning myself, and I keep on questioning my answers, and I keep on questioning if I'm on the right track. And I actually really had someone just like this the other day. What kind of advice would you give them to get that answer of, are they on the right track?
Yeah, okay. So I work, as you know, a little bit of access consciousness. So I always bring in questions like to feel into the answer, and you don't know the answer, but it's to feel into the answer and how it feels. If I do X, how will my life be in 12 months? And just feel if it feels like, oh, really constrictive, or if it feels really expansive and light. And then you can ask, if I do X, how will my life be in 5 years, and then 10 years? And just feeling into that energy is quite amazing. And you can start to play with that on little things. So you could play with that when you go to the restaurant for lunch, and you go, oh, you know, I want the salmon, but I want the chicken. And I'm sure you've been there when you can't decide between the two. So but that's your head getting in the way. So ask your body, what would you like? The chicken? Feel into the energy. Would you like the salmon? Feel into the energy.
Mine's probably more the salad and the chips.
Yeah.
And the salmon.
That's just what came into my mind at the time.
But I hear you.
But that's a great way to start. I say start playing it with food, because that's the classic. When you go to a restaurant, there's always 2 or 3 things that you go, oh, I don't know, I can't make a choice. Let your head get in the way. So ask your body, what would your body like? And the body will light up with what it wants.
Yeah, I love that. You know, and so that comes back to the, you know, does it feel heavy or does it feel light?
Yeah. That's a great starting point, I think, is definitely working with that tool for questioning and the curiosity, and the more questions that you ask and listen for the answers. That's often the hard part, is listening to the answers. But the more you do it, the more you get practice with it, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what about somebody who might be listening who is really in overwhelm? You know, too much to do, too little time to get it done, and they always feel that there's simply never enough hours in the day. And we've all been there as well. So first of all, what advice would you give them? And second of all, what do you do yourself? Or maybe they're the same thing.
Well, I've actually just been in that space, you know, through the whole COVID crisis. I went into massive overwhelm, and it was the first time in my life that I really experienced it to the extent that I was. And it was quite interesting to witness me being, like, I was fully aware of where I was at, but it was like I couldn't sort of get out of it. It was really quite interesting. And so what I did was just took everything day by day. So one step at a time. If I thought at that point in time, if I thought a week ahead, the overwhelm just went mental. So I really just peeled it all back and just looked in my diary for what I had in my diary for the next day, whether it was clients, although the clients were probably getting quite less at that stage, but just looking at what was in my diary if there was something I had to attend to. And if there wasn't, then I would just get into the next day and go, okay, I'm here now. What do I want to do in this moment? Do I want to do some work on the computer? Do I want to go for a walk down the beach? And just take it in little bite-sized chunks, because otherwise the overwhelm does get too much. And I think that's really important. And to also work on your stress levels. So really journaling, and sometimes that's really good to journal, because it gets out what's in the head being busy. It gets it out on paper, and even if it's not making any sense what you're writing, it's getting it out of your head. So I find that's a really good process for me. I like to do that. And just really getting into slow breaths. So I'll activate and start doing more from my teachings. I'll do some parasympathetic breathing and just really get into my body and do some body work within myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, breathing is just so peace bringing, isn't it?
Yeah. So do that, and then bring the breathing in with some touch, and just tapping into my central part of me, and awakening even just if I'm just touching my arms and my legs, but doing that with slow breath also just really makes a big shift in your system.
Yeah. And so for my last question, what I'd love to invite you to share is, what's that thing that you love the most in the whole wide world?
Oh, to do with this or anything?
It's an answer you can answer however you like.
What I love more than anything in the whole world is my work, and helping people to move past their challenges within intimacy. And like today, I work with a lady who has internal pain when she's having sex, and I actually get rid of that. And the energetic releasing that she was doing it was fantastic. And I'm just like, yay, she can now almost go off and be intimate with her partner. So that's a really great thing. And so that's what I love.
Yeah,
my work, and just seeing the results. I mean, that's just, that's the thing that floats me the best, I think. In business and in personal life, the best thing is for me is just, I think, taking time out for myself, listening to myself and my body, because sometimes the head and the body want to do different things. So I'm really good at pushing myself at the gym, for example, but now I've learned to listen to my body to go, you know what, not today, or go light or whatever. So finding that balance, which we're all trying to look for, is to find that balance within each other.
And Pauline, one of the things that I really love about you is that, when I ask you what you love the most in the world, I love that it's actually the gift of giving to someone else that you chose as the thing that you love. Like, that's just fully representative of who you are. So that's just beautiful. Thank you. That's so lovely. And is there anything else before we go that you feel that you'd like to share with our listeners today?
Actually, this is a really cool little process that I'd love to do on you, if that's okay. It only take a minute.
Yep. What is it?
I call it a body scan, and this is a great process for getting out of your head and into your body. And I give it to all my clients, and I say, this is your new best friend. Listen to this recording several times a day. Do this exercise before you do any of your exercises that I give you, any of your homework, to get you out of your head into your body. So do you want to do that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'll get you to close your eyes for me. And just take a couple of big breaths. And just bring your awareness down to your feet, to the top of the foot. Nothing to do, just saying, hello, feet. Bring your awareness to the top of all the toes. And slowly moving up your foot. And travelling up your shins, the tops of your knees, and the tops of your thighs. And just being aware of the front of the leg, probably never really given it much thought. Nothing to do, nothing to change. And then bring your awareness back down to your feet, to the soles of the feet. Connecting to the balls of the feet, and the heels, And going around the backs of the heels, up the calves, the backs of the knees, and the backs of the thighs to your buttocks. And just feel your buttocks and the tops of your legs resting on the chair, and just having awareness of any feelings or sensations. Nothing to do, nothing to change, just being aware of what's going on in your body. And you may not feel anything either, and that's okay. And then just bringing your awareness around to your genitals and your pubic bone. Then moving up your belly, being aware of any sensations or any feelings. Coming all the way up to the top of the belly, to the solar plexus. Moving up to the heart space. To your breasts, the upper chest, and up to your shoulders. Just have awareness of the whole of the front of the body, any feelings or sensations. And then bring your awareness back down to your tailbone. Feeling into your lower back, across the tops of your hips and your buttocks. And then slowly moving up the lower back, up the mid-back, the top of the back, and up to the shoulders again. Just having awareness of the whole of the torso. And bringing your awareness down your arms, past your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, your hands, your fingers, all the way to the ends of the fingertips. And then slowly bringing your awareness back up the fingers and the hands, the wrists, the forearms, the elbows, the upper arms, and back up to the shoulders. And then bring your awareness to your throat, your neck and your jaw. Is your jaw tense or is it relaxed? And again, you don't have to change it, it's just having awareness. And then bring your awareness to your chin, your mouth, your nose, your ears and your eyes, your forehead. And just have awareness of your whole face, your breath as you breathe in and out. And then finally bring your awareness up to the top of your head, to the crown. And I invite you to bring your awareness back down to your feet, and at your own pace, just scan your whole body all the way up to the top of the head, and then take 3 deep breaths into your heart space, and just opening your eyes when you're ready. Welcome back. How was that?
Good. Feels really nice.
Yeah, very calming and grounding, isn't it?
Yeah, very much in the moment.
Yes.
I like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of a now meditation, which is good.
Yeah, that's it. It's very much. And it's amazing how quickly it gets you out of your head and into your body.
Awesome. So thank you so much for today, Pauline.
You're welcome.
I am going to ask you to send me any link that you would like me to add onto this podcast today.
Sure.
But I just want to say thank you so much.
You're welcome. Lovely to see you again.
Thanks, Pauline. Thanks, everybody, for listening today. Bye.
Bye-bye.